Hey, Alyssa, big day the next couple of days for the Miami Dolphins. You know I love talking football with you. You got the 13th overall pick, but other than that, you get 3 picks in the top 100. Who you kind of looking for? What do you think they do at 13?
Sure.
Who would you like to see them take? Kind of some needs in 3 of those picks in the top 100.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, when you think about where they are right now, I've always thought, and they've kind of just the trend that the Dolphins take in general, they love guys in the trenches. So I would not be surprised if at 13 they take an offensive lineman and then maybe take a defensive guy within those next couple of picks because they've really invested in Tua. I think that they've made a statement on investing in him and his future, but you got to protect him. And so continuing to bring in talented offensive linemen who can protect him is important. Then I really think, maybe, again, the defensive line or the linebacker position is a spot on the side of the defense that they need. But I'm really curious if they bring in another quarterback because they released Mike White and they've got a couple guys back there, but because of Tua's history, yes, you want to protect him, you want to build things around him, but you definitely need a guy waiting in the wings who can come in and play a couple of games because that's kind of the trend, right? Like you're going to come in and maybe have to play a couple of games just because of the history we've seen the last couple of years with Tua and his health. A guy that can come in and not be like, oh my gosh, when does Tua get back? So this offense feels the same as it was when he's here. And I'm curious to see what they do with that. But that's where I would go first is the offensive line and then either D-line, linebacker. But I'd like to see them get a quarterback out of this draft.
And so let me ask you, because I agree with you. And so I'm trying to look at some of those quarterbacks that might go in that second wave. I think of guys like Quinn Ewers. I think of guys like Dillon Gabriel, kind of quick release. Maybe it's not really a drop off if Tua goes out. Do you like Quinn Ewers or Dillon Gabriel over?
Ewers fits that.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking. Yeah. I don't know if you liked one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have the same skill set as Tua a little bit. They're almost the same build, same style, quick release, and that's what you kind of want to kind of have those strengths of your quarterback to be a little seamless from one to the other, so you're not changing up too much from a skill set point. But yeah, I mean, either of those, especially Dillon Gabriel, I liked him a lot. He impressed me specifically down the stretch last season. He was on my Heisman ballot. I like him. I think he can make a place for himself in Miami.
Alyssa, I gotta ask about how did you not go to watch Clayton Kershaw pitch yesterday? You're a Dodgers fan. Could you take? I know there was a Little League game for your son. You only get a chance to watch a Hall of Famer pitch while you know he's a Hall of Famer, and it's a minor league game. Could you not have taken him out of the game and dragged him over to the ballpark and watched it? I know you had some FOMO last night.
I know, I did. And I honestly learned about it a little too late. I didn't learn about it until I was going to go pick up my daughter at daycare after I'd picked up my son from school. And at that point, he was already dressed in his baseball gear, and we had to go to the baseball game. But, yeah, I mean, like, push that dagger a little bit harder in film, and I would have easily told Coach, like, hey, we're going on a field trip down the street, and this is, educational experience for my son, and we're out. But he loves to play the game, and I didn't want to do that for Finn. And Saul's out of town working on a special project with Hogs Plus, so it was just me yesterday, and I didn't have much of a choice. But, man, watching the videos and people's photos, I definitely had FOMO.
Alyssa, some of these ratings or rankings for these receivers, people make a lot of money doing this, and I don't understand it all the time. Help explain this to me, and who would you take? Isaac Tesla is the 17th ranked receiver in this year's draft class, and Andrew Armstrong is the 46th ranked receiver. Kind of help me understand that.
Interesting. Okay. I hadn't seen that, and that surprises me just because of the seasons that both of them have had. But, I think with Andrew, we saw especially what he could do with last season and the season before. But he was a little injured, and maybe the injury plays into it. Maybe there's an issue there with, like, okay, how healthy can he remain? How healthy can he stay throughout the season? I think with Tesla, there's just a lot of raw talent. He's got great hands. He's a guy across the middle that you would love to have in the rotation there for a wide receiver. And then maybe because he has kind of stayed healthy for the most part, he just maybe has a little bit of a better markings there from, hey, being healthy, you can mold this guy into what we think he could be. And so maybe that's the upside that teams are seeing from him and what his skill set is. But that discrepancy between the two of them is very surprising to me. And I'm wondering if it's because of maybe some of the injuries that Andrew Armstrong went through.
That turf toe, if he really does have turf toe, or you wonder, because, I thought 46 was extremely low for Andrew Armstrong.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Alyssa, I got to ask, this whole situation with the Iamaleavas, I'm actually a little more interested in what the future of college sports is going to look like. And this whole deal with Arkansas now trying to recoup the NIL funds just gets to the heart. And this may end up being a case that decides it. That it's, what did you pay the kid for? What was it that he was paid for? Was he paid? He wasn't paid for being there at practice. He wasn't going to be paid for games. Nobody on this team is paid for the games. They're paid for their NIL likeness. And that does not involve going on a field and playing a sport. It involves outward projection to the rest of the world. And that's why Madden may end up getting away with this. He very well might when it comes down to it. I don't know how this contract was written, but if you're being paid for NIL and you gave that NIL for those 3 months, maybe he'll be able to keep at least the 3 months worth.
And that's what is such the big talker right now, is because, it is not a pay for play. That's the one rule the NCAA had, but let's be honest, you're paying them to come play for you at this point. And you're paying them to be a part of your team. Patrick Kudus does not have any kind of name recognition, but Ole Miss was able to give him some money to go to Ole Miss. And that's just the truth, because they want him to come play for him. Now, the thing with the Iamaleavas is that I really think with Madden, he has an argument about his name and who his brother is and the brand that the Iamaleava name has created, right? And so that's what he's saying, is just like, I know that I didn't necessarily play my senior season of high school football. Like, he really hasn't played much football because of the injuries that he's had, but his name has recognition. And you guys knew that me coming in, everyone was talking about who he was and him coming and him signing at Arkansas. And, I mean, we were even covering him in the Polynesian Bowl in Hawaii because of who he was and him coming to Arkansas. So he might, you're right, have an argument of, well, you're paying for my name to come to Arkansas and play for you guys. I've now decided that I'm not going to. But you're not paying me to play football. You're not paying me per game. You're paying me for my last name, and that's what you got. That's what I gave you for 3 months. And he might have, and I mean, the media might be playing in his favor too, because he can go and he can pull every single time that his name was said on the radio, said on television, article written about, sportscast talked about, all of those things. And point to, see, look at all of this attention that I brought to myself and to Arkansas football because of who I am over the last 3 months.
That's just something to think about, because I mean, we're going to have a corner of who it is that you feel like you're in the corner of, but I think when you're looking at what it is these guys are paid for, that's really what you're getting at the heart at here. Alyssa, we'll leave it there. Thanks for coming on today, and we'll look forward to talking with you next Tuesday.
Let's go, Fins.
Let's go, Fins. Hey, I looked it up. They got an offensive tackle as a projected. That's
I saw
Kelvin Banks out of Texas.
Yeah, and I saw the D tackle from Michigan. I think all the mocks I'm looking at has them taking somebody in OT or D tackle.
Yeah, and that's their trend. You can go back years. That's just, they've always trended that direction.